Hey, welcome to Sports Unfolded NHL Ranking Show. I'm your host, Eric. My main man over there, Ron. How are you?
Hey, you get it right.
I got it right, man. I'm getting better at this thing. It's almost like I know what I'm doing.
I
It's
think
only been
half
a
of your
year.
problem is when we do the hockey show, you're on one side,
Yeah,
and when we
exactly.
do Sports Unfolded, you're on the other side.
So it switches it up. So obviously your NHL rankings came out just this afternoon. You
Yes,
just
it did.
released them. So we're kind of excited because this is the first time we were actually breaking it at the same time as we put the rankings up. So some changes this week.
Awesome. Yeah, a little bit.
Little bit, couple moves here and there. First off, number 5, the surprise for me because that means you took out your beloved Boston Bruins.
Yeah, well, it was close, let me tell you. Bruins are playing some great hockey. They lost against Anaheim last week. That's why they dropped out. And the only reason why they dropped out is because the Rangers were unscathed
So
this
the
week,
Rangers at
3 and
number
0.
5. Yeah,
So they just barely eked out the Bruins at number 5. New York Rangers are playing some good hockey. You know, Shesterkin has been lights out. He's been awesome.
I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that name. You know how bad I am with hockey names. So I'm going to give you that one. I am
You can
definitely giving
say
you that one.
Shesterkin. You can say Shesterkin.
We'll just go the S man here. So the Rangers 36, 15 and 5, 7, 2 and 1 in the last 10. So
Yeah.
a tough schedule here coming up. At
Oh
Minnesota,
yes.
at St. Louis, and at Dallas.
Yeah. They have a tough week. This number 5 spot could be a revolving door. Um, do not be surprised if Boston or Calgary slides into that spot because Boston right now is number 6, Calgary number 7, and those two are in a good position to take that spot.
Yeah, and you've seen them kind of flip flop so far, almost every other week now, where
Yeah,
one team seems to take the reins for a little bit, but just can't hold on to it. Is
yeah,
that just consistent of that 5 spot where we know the top 4 teams seem
yeah.
pretty
Because when you look at
consistent?
it, that 5, through 13, any one of those teams can finish the season in that spot, and I don't think the 4 above will probably won't move. They probably
Yeah,
won't
I
move
mean
out of the top
they've
5.
been pretty consistent on the list. So
Yeah,
obviously a little bit of movement when it comes to where they are, but
right.
they've stayed in the top 4. So at number 4, who'd you put up there?
Number 4 is Colorado. They
Right,
got bumped from their spot,
so they've
and
dropped from 1 to 4 in the last 2 weeks.
yeah, because they've had what 3 losses now in the last 2 weeks. Um, and it hasn't been pretty. Um, they lost to Arizona this past week.
Wow.
That's not pretty.
And Arizona don't even have a home.
And the matchup that we were talking, yeah, I know, huh? We were talking about the matchup with Calgary, and Calgary got them in overtime, and and we pointed that one out because that's going to be
Yeah.
a big game, and I know we predicted Colorado to win that game.
Yeah, we didn't do too well on that.
Well, Calgary came in, and they know they need to play against them hard because that is the measuring stick. You have to be able to beat Colorado in that West.
Yeah, and again,
It's
we
over.
talked about how crucial it was going to be in the Western Conference for Calgary to show what they were made of. So, Colorado 40, 11 and 5, 6, 3 and 10 in the last 10. At the Islanders, at New Jersey to begin the week. So again, 2 winnable games. At Carolina, big matchup. Maybe a Stanley Cup preview.
Maybe.
And then Calgary at home again.
That could be the conference finals.
Right? So you're looking at 2 potential, big time games late in the week for Colorado. Do you see them possibly falling out of this list if they lose? Let's say they split.
Well, if they go 2-2, then it's potentially they could drop out. They could, especially the way the Rangers, Boston. If they, honestly, if they do lose a couple of games, one of them will probably beat a Calgary, and then Calgary can basically jump in there.
Bounce in.
And
I
if,
know how you feel about the Islanders in New Jersey. So if they lose to one of those two games, obviously at that point, it definitely puts them at risk of dropping out.
If they lose to the Islanders or New Jersey, that's bad. I mean, look, they're still going to be one of the best teams in the league, regardless. I mean, every team goes through a slump.
Yeah.
And Florida just went 0-3 a week ago, and then they bounced right back, winning a couple of games. So, good teams won't stay down long, and Colorado's too good.
No, makes sense. Again, we've talked about them being obviously the best team in the West. So for them to hold on to that, again, they're going to have to win some of these, crucial games now against obviously potential Stanley Cup teams.
Yep.
Yeah. If they are legit and they are for real, they've held that number one spot for quite some time. They do still have the best record in the NHL. So from that standpoint, look, they've proven that they can win.
Yeah, being number 4 is just an indicative of how they played the last couple of weeks. And believe me, going 6-3-1 is great for most teams.
Yeah.
When you think about it, it's like, why are they 4th? But this is how they played the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and again, you start looking at the teams that you put ahead of them and how they played the last 10, and they've played much better than Colorado. So it makes sense. So at number 3, you had
number 3, Tampa Bay. They had a good week. They went 3-1. They had that one loss, but they played pretty well. That loss was against Pittsburgh. So I mean, Pittsburgh's a good team, and you can't sleep on anybody in this league, and let alone somebody like Pittsburgh with the talent that they have. So
if you think about it, just look, they're 37-12 in 6, 8-10 in their last 10. At Winnipeg, at Calgary, and then at Edmonton,
and then Vancouver. After that, they go into the West. They go in the West Coast teams.
And again, nothing easy here.
That is not going to be an easy stretch for them.
If you look at exactly where they look, that Calgary game is very big because again, maybe another potential Stanley Cup final preview. Edmonton, we know what they are, and we're talking about the trade deadline and what they might do. So if they get some defensive help, again, we know they can put up. They can put up points, though. Yeah, they can definitely score.
Tampa Bay's got a tough road the next couple of weeks. You think this week is going to be tough? The week after is going to be tougher for them because I believe.
So let me ask you this question: If I'm Tampa Bay right now, wouldn't I be more confident knowing that I'm kind of playing some playoff hockey now, getting myself ready for that playoff push?
Yeah, because this sets you up for the trade deadline. To be honest with you. Like the next couple of weeks, they're going to know exactly what they need. They're going to know because you're playing a lot of contenders the next couple of weeks. And the crazy thing is what separates Tampa Bay, Florida, Toronto, and Boston is what? 6-7 points from first to fourth.
Isn't that insane?
So in the next 2 weeks, we could see a total flip-flop at the standings.
Yeah, which is incredible. And I'm telling you right now, if you aren't watching NHL hockey at this point, these are these last few weeks here before the playoffs are going to be so intense because there's so many crucial games that.
I don't want to toot our horn too much, but I recall in January that NHL Network and TNT both said the Bruins would not make the playoffs and that the Islanders would make the playoffs from NHL Network and TNT. They said that Detroit would make the playoffs. How dumb does that look now?
Not even close. Close.
No, like I said.
Yeah.
When
we
Bruins
talked about it on our show on
trailing
Friday.
by a lot of points, I knew.
The East is a pretty locked up conference. Obviously, standing wise, where they finish, we feel pretty confident. We know who's in. The West is where, again, we know there's going to be
That
a
one
lot of
gets
potential for
wishy-washy.
a lot of change.
Because, frankly, a lot of those teams, if they were in the East, would not even be contenders.
Yeah, exactly. How about another East team here at number 2?
Number 2, Carolina.
So Carolina 39-12-5, 7-1-2 in their last 10. They're home for Colorado.
Yep.
Then they play Philadelphia and then at Pittsburgh. So, again,
Not an
none of
easy
these
week.
teams have an easy week. For the most part, they're all playing some top contenders in the NHL. Can Carolina hold on to the 2 spot?
That's going to be a tough one because with Colorado and Pittsburgh, you got to wonder about that Philadelphia game right in the middle because that's the one that can sneak up on them. Like we've already seen trap games, playing big parts in every sport, and that they could very well go 0-3 that week because of that trap game. And you don't think Philadelphia is going to come out and playing against their division rival?
Yeah, look, just again, the fact that you face Colorado, best record in the NHL, you have the second best record.
Yeah.
You're also trying to prove what kind of dominant team you are.
That's right.
So you look at that team, and then, like you said, look past Philadelphia, who's a good team. That, listen, they can win any given time.
They're in that clump, 5-13.
Yeah. So, again, you don't know what Philadelphia team you're going to get. They could very well look past them because they're looking at
Philadelphia should have been good this year. Like, they have a good team. And for whatever reason, people just didn't perform well. So don't slouch on them.
And absolutely. So, number 1 team this week is
Florida.
The Florida Panthers.
Florida Panthers. They had 2 wins. They beat Ottawa and Detroit last week. Ottawa's, Ottawa. But Detroit, I'll tell you, they have some talent over there. They have a lot of young players, and they got 2 rookies that are playing out of their minds right now. And look, that's not an easy team to play.
No, building block
because of that youth. They make mistakes, and that's why they're not, involved in the playoff race. But watch in a year, possibly even next year. But I'd say 2 years from now, that team is going to be a powerhouse.
So Florida 37-12-6, 8-2 in their last 10. At Buffalo, at Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and then at LA.
Yeah.
So again, 3 solid games there. Buffalo obviously should be a win unless they, again, to your point, trap game where they look past and start looking at some of those other teams that they play later on.
Yeah, I don't see Florida doing that. I don't see them doing that.
And again, one of the top scoring teams in the league, so Florida's definitely been able to put up points.
Because in the standings, they're second in the standings on that division. Look, that's the toughest division there is. Because if you're 5th best in the league and you're sitting in that division, you're not sure that you're going to make it. I mean, it's that close. So, so if you come in 4th in that division, that's going to be hard. And, right now Boston is in that spot, but it could be Florida next week. Like, it's that tough. That division is that tough.
Yeah. And to your point, I think it's going to be fun seeing where this Eastern Conference, and then even when the playoffs start, some of these matchups that are going to be.
Oh, it's going to be ridiculous.
It's going to be,
like we're going to look at the West and we'll say, okay, this team, and then everything else,
Yeah.
And then, but in the Eastern Conference, good luck picking any one of those games. Good luck. Because the first place team is going to play Washington. And who knows what that Washington team looks like, in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So
let's bring up the list real quick. See where we stand. So again, just released a couple hours ago. And we have at number 5, back on the list, the New York Rangers. At 4, the Colorado Avalanche. At 3, the Tampa Bay Lightning. At 2, the Carolina Hurricanes. Number 1 this week, Florida Panthers. Your overall thought is the Rangers could be, or Colorado might be, those two teams possibly out. Colorado have to have a real big mishap during the week, but we could see the Rangers out based on some of the teams they're playing. Talked about Boston, Calgary possibly jumping back into the list.
Yeah, that right now, odds are one of those teams could be the one to jump in. Of course, it all depends on Colorado and the Rangers. I don't see Florida, Carolina, or Tampa Bay dropping out because they're still in top 3.
Yeah.
But if Colorado loses twice, they're probably going to get knocked out if Boston, Calgary, Pittsburgh win. Maybe, you can even throw Dallas in there because Dallas is sitting there right now. I have them at the 9th spot, and they've been playing some good hockey. They are moving up. They are now 4th in that division. And 2 weeks ago they were 6th. So, if they win another game, if they win, all their games this week, you can see them move up to 3rd.
Wow.
Ahead of Minnesota. So, they're a team that can put up some numbers. They got some talent there. They have some really good players, and I would not be surprised if they jump ahead of somebody.
I listen, to your point, I think there's going to be a lot of movement in the next few weeks. And you have to watch because it's going to be some really good hockey.
Yeah, we talked about it last week with Nashville, and I said that Nashville wouldn't make the playoffs, and they're starting to show that as they're tumbling. They were in second place a couple of weeks ago, and I was not sold on that because they were playing a powder puff schedule at that point.
Yeah.
Now they're playing some of these teams that are trying to get into those playoff spots, and it's showing. It's showing. Next to jump over them is Winnipeg.
So what we normally do, each week I give you a challenge, something to look at when it comes to some of your picks, some of your predictions as well. Last week, I challenged you for this week. Some of your biggest surprises and biggest disappointments could be players, could be teams. It could be some moves that were made. So first off, let's go with some of your biggest surprises. What has been some of your biggest surprises so far this NHL season?
All right. So third on my list, I'll go work to the top. So third on my list, I have the Detroit Red Wings. Not the fact that where they are. I knew exactly where they would finish, and that's where they are. It's just a collection of youth, like we were talking about earlier. That's not an easy team to play against because of that youth. And they got 2 kids, Lucas Raymond, who has 16 goals, 43 points as a rookie. But they also have another rookie at the blue line, Moritz Seider. This kid has 36 assists.
Wow.
41 points. Playing the defense. He's playing a lot of minutes. He's getting a lot of opportunity. And those 2 kids are playing great. Yes, they're going to make mistakes. And that's all part of the process. But they're going to be part of this team for a long time. And when you got Raymond, who Dylan Larkin is basically taken under his wing, what a great player to teach a young player the ropes in the NHL, and they're proven to be valuable. And that's why I say, give them 2 years, this team's going to be near the top, and it's going to get crowded in that division.
And I think to your point, look, they're competitive.
Yes.
And if you're competitive as rookies, you know that, look, it's all a learning curve at this point. But what they experience now And if they can remain close, they know what it's going to take to get them over the hump next year.
Yeah, and they're
So-
playing a lot, so they're getting the experience now.
No, it's important. It's important. Any other surprises for you?
Well, the second surprise, I have Anaheim. I know. Look, the team is like borderline average, and that's borderline because it is the Western Conference. But Trevor Zegras and um, Drysdale on the defense, those two rookies, again, you know, Zegras is like super talented. He's the one that scored the lacrosse goal from behind the net.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he does. Which I hate, by the way. They need to ban that because it's getting ridiculous. Now they're showing videos of little kids doing it in like youth hockey games, and that needs to go. They need to ban it because it's not lacrosse, and I almost swore there. Just saying.
Easy, buddy. Easy.
But those two kids have surprised me. They came, out of nowhere, to be honest with you, for me, being in Anaheim. So the team is not as good as Detroit, but those two players are spectacular. So they're a surprise. The team isn't, but they are.
And your third?
My third one, and I thought I would never say this about this guy. Nazem Kadri from Colorado. Never liked him. Had some moments in his career where he was a pretty dirty hockey player. But he grew up, and he's got 22 goals, 40 assists, 48 assists rather, 70 points. He's in the league leaders. Fifth overall in points, fifth in the league. That's amazing. Fourth in assists. When McKinnon was out for a while, he took the reins and he hasn't let them go. He's been spectacular. What more could you want from a player that has had a checkered past, and then he's turned out to be spectacular this year? Like, that is the biggest surprise for me. There wasn't a team. There was no team out there that was in a good position as a surprise. The Eastern Conference, everybody that's in is exactly who I thought, except for the Islanders.
So
Islanders were the only team.
I'm going to give you my surprise, one of my surprises. And that would be Evander Kane and the fact that he was able to return to the NHL. I didn't see that happening this season with a lot of the things that he was accused of and what happened. And that one surprised me because as we kept following this story, and yes, some of the things
didn't look good.
Yeah, some of the things his spouse or ex-spouse or whatever she's going to be said, we found out wasn't true. But he still had himself some issues with, you know, some COVID protocols that he broke. And I'm like, there's no way he gets back on to an NHL team. And yet it goes to show when you're really trying to win, you'll do just about anything. That one was a big surprise for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't surprise me that Edmonton signed him. Doesn't surprise me. Because they were in the hunt for DeBrusque, but signing Evander Kane kind of squashed that.
No, I get it. I just think I really thought he was going to get suspended for the full season.
Well,
again, I think just because of the repeat offender type thing.
It worked out for him.
Yeah.
So
what
if
about,
there was nothing there, then he'd definitely be on a team.
So what about some of your biggest disappointments?
Bruins just scored.
Yes, there you go.
But that was not a disappointment. It also wasn't a surprise. All right, so my disappointments. Oof. All right, so I guess number 3 on the list would be the Edmonton front office.
Okay.
Okay, like going into this season, you clearly knew you needed defense. You clearly knew it after the debacle in the playoffs last year. You knew You needed defense,
And
but
did
yet
nothing.
did nothing,
Mhm.
and still haven't done anything. Like, it's inexcusable. It's inexcusable. I don't know. Like what more could you want than having McDavid and Draisaitl
Yeah, two of the
and good
best scorers in the
defense?
league. Yeah,
You know, uh,
and you're going to
look,
waste it.
yeah, and it's going to happen again if they don't do something, and they could be outbought by everyone in this league that's going to go out and try to get the defense needed, and Edmonton isn't going to do anything major because I don't know if they have the cap space. I haven't looked at the cap space, but they're going to do a move that's going to bring in a defenseman for the bottom two pair. That's what they're going to do. I don't see them making a move of significance, and they're going to
Gotcha.
need that.
Gotcha. What about what else do you have for disappointment?
So number two, I have the Winnipeg Jets. Even though they're still contending for a playoff spot, this team should be in second place. They should be in second place. They have a talented team, and they are playing smaller than what they are. Like, you have some talent there, and this team is just not gutting it out, and therefore they could be on the outs, and then they're gonna start trading players away because they're on that borderline where they might be sellers, and we're gonna know pretty soon whether they're sellers or not because they have about three guys that people want.
No, listen.
So
Especially in hockey, they pretty much cut it right to the wire on the deadline
yeah,
sometimes, and then make that decision then. So
yeah, this is
uh,
going to be one of
it'll
those
be an
teams that are going
interesting.
to.
Yeah, and you have top disappointment so far this season
Oh well, that goes without saying. It has to be the New York Islanders. Like this team. I mean, they were a contender.
from where they were to what they are now.
Yeah, it's surprising, and it's mind-boggling how they basically fell out of it right at the beginning and never recovered. And it's the same cast of characters. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. You know, maybe they had too many players that were overachieving, and then they're showing their true selves.
Came back down to earth. Yeah,
I don't know. I can't explain it.
and again,
Um,
see, they're going to be a team dumping some players as well. Chara is definitely on the move.
yeah, Chara,
So
Clutterbuck. There's going to be a few guys that are going to be leaving this team. So it's it's going to look a little different next year. It's going to look a little different. We're going to find out next year, though, like if they were overachieving or if this was just an underachieving year.
yeah, so
So,
I would say this for me is the disappointment, and I expected it with the
Fleury.
goaltender, taking the break, but Carey Price when
Oh,
how far that the Montreal Canadiens
not a
have
surprise.
fallen. To me, it
Yes.
would be listen, you don't get to the Stanley Cup. You said it's one of the hardest things to do in any
Yep.
professional sport. And the fact that they got there and now they're just so bad. They're
Well,
not even
look,
relevant.
this is my theory on that. Okay. The alignment of divisions, they had to play the Canadian teams. Now, if you look at the standings, the only teams that were really viable last season was Toronto and Edmonton.
Edmonton, yeah.
Neither one of them had defense.
Okay. This is why you're the hockey guy. This is why you're my guru.
Carey Price really only needed to steal one series, and that was, the the semifinals, just before the Stanley Cup. He only had to steal one.
Yeah.
So like I don't want to say that the Canadian teams were bad last year, but they were
But that's
bad
what you're
last
saying.
year.
That's what you're saying. Yeah, exactly.
They were bad, and it was clearly Gary Price that brought them there. It was clearly because they can't even get out of their own way. They're terrible.
No.
And without Gary Price, I knew they'd finish, either in last or just ahead of Buffalo. And where are they sitting? In last.
Last. So I give you that. All right. So that was your top 3 surprises and disappointments. Appreciate it. Next week's challenge.
Oh boy.
This is a fun. You're not even going to have to write this down because I know how excited you're going to be about this. I just want to hear Ron's top 5 all-time Bruins.
Oh God.
You are a diehard Bruins fan, and I know you would want to pick more than 5.
All right. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. I'm going to give you the top 5 Bruins.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you my top 5 favorite Bruins.
Okay. I like it. I love it. I love the way it works. Listen, if you enjoy what you're watching, check us out every Friday night. We're live at 6 p.m. We do our actual Sports Unfolded show where we cover all sports, not just NHL, any of the top sports topics going on for this current week. We're live on Friday nights at 6 p.m. We're fan interactive. If you join in and jump on, hit us up on the chat. We'll definitely have conversations about it as well. Follow us on social media at Sports Unfolded on Facebook and Twitter, at Broadcasting RI on Twitter, Sports_Unfolded on Instagram. If you don't have time to watch us, listen to us on Amazon, Anchor, Google, Spotify, and now TuneIn. So we are on so many different channels, so many different ways to watch us. Watch us live, listen to us if you don't have time to watch. But we definitely appreciate all the support that we're getting out there, and we're growing every single day. So, Ron, as always, we're moving on.
That was my growing.
I like it. That's pretty good. I appreciate all your hockey knowledge, as always, my hockey guru, bringing all the knowledge. I know you're dying to get back to that Bruins game, so we're going to cut you out here. But I just want to say thank you to everybody that watches live. Appreciate you. To those that are going to watch afterwards, make sure you stay out there and keep the peace, man. Let's keep peace going. Ron, you have a great night, my friend. Thank you.
Take care, Eric.
Mm-hmm.